Are you good, Andrew?
Yeah, I just want to.
Am I leaned out enough?
I know. What's going on, everyone, and welcome to HTF Bets Season 9, Episode 8. I'm Nick Cohn, and we have a pretty great show for you, as always. We start by not talking about the NFL, but rather Tyler will give us his top 5 Heisman candidates. Then we'll preview UFC 308 this weekend, and finish off with our surefire picks of the week. And ladies and gentlemen, a couple records were surpassed this week, so you won't want to miss that because HTF Bets starts right now. We are back, joined as always by Andrew Gregg to my left. I hope you're doing good. We got to get right into this though. I have Augie to my right. Hope you're also doing good.
Oh, I'm doing great.
Awesome. So then, talking about Heisman candidates is Tyler. Who is number 1 for you?
Yes, thank you, Nick. I will be going right into my Heisman candidates. Now, I would say it is currently a two-man race as of where we stand this season. Starting off, my favorite, and currently, if I had a Heisman voting ballot, my first place vote goes to Cam Ward out of Miami. He's been outstanding. He set a school record, 7 straight games with over 300 passing yards. Miami is undefeated, top of the ACC, and he also has the best quarterback rating in the nation, sitting at a 92.3. He also leads the nation in passing yards and passing touchdowns. Just an outstanding season for him and the Hurricanes. Now, second place is Vegas' betting favorite at plus 220, Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty. We all know what he's capable of. We all have seen him. He has 17 touchdowns. He's chasing Barry Sanders' records right for this year. Boise State, their one loss came against now number 1 Oregon. So he's been outstanding individually, right? We all see the memes of him just standing there in the backfield. He's averaging 10 yards a carry. So I'll throw it back to you guys. Do you agree with me, Cam Ward being first place as of right now in the Heisman race?
I do not agree personally. Hate to say, I do think Jeanty, rightfully so, he is in the odds, the favorite. He just deserves that. I'll let Augie talk about that in just a second. But Cam Ward, what he is doing is pretty amazing. Bringing Miami back from the dead a little bit. Only 5 interceptions on the season. So many passing yards, so many touchdowns, like you said. But to defend Cam Ward from what I just said, tell me a little bit about why Tyler might be right. I know you're a bit of a Miami fan.
Yeah, so I personally have Cam Ward as my Heisman favorite, and I think that Tyler's completely justified in having him as his Heisman favorite. He is setting records for Miami. He's going to set records for Miami passing this season, and he's completely turned around the season. We had a total of 7 wins last year, and we already have 7 wins through 7 games this season, which is outstanding as a Miami fan. I know there were a lot of questions about Mario Cristobal coming into the season, and I think he silenced all of the haters because of that. The defense has not played particularly well, as we've given up 30-plus points in each of the last 3 games, I think it is now. But Cam Ward has been there to save essentially the season because we've had 2 close games in which we would have been losses without him, and I think that's what really stands out to me as Heisman moments. Him leading us back from against Cal from down 20-plus points, from Virginia Tech down 10-plus points in the fourth quarter. I think that those are Heisman moments, along with what Tyler said. He leads the NCAA in passing yards as well as passing QBR, which is an outstanding stat, and the fact that the Heisman is more of a diversified award than the NFL MVP is, but it typically leans to the quarterback. So if there is an outstanding quarterback, I think they would get that, especially because of the fact that Cam Ward is on pace to, they're top of the ACC right now. There's no reason why he shouldn't, except for the fact that Ashton Jeanty is having one of the best running back seasons of all time. So I definitely think that Ashton Jeanty is a player in this conversation, but I don't think that it's also a little bit of bias. So I'm a huge Miami fan. So. Which
is just, everyone go down, boo him in the comments. We're a UCF sports show. Can you believe that? But Cam Ward's connection with Xavier Restrepo is pretty nasty. I don't hate the pick. I don't see him as the favorite. However, defend Ashton Jeanty a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Jeanty's had too great of a season, honestly, to not win it. His stats so far through the season, halfway through the season, are pretty close along to what Barry Sanders had in 1988. Now, Barry Sanders did have what's going to be projected probably about 100 more attempts. So, yeah, Barry Sanders got the ball a lot more than Jeanty. But if Jeanty gets close to that record, I think there's no way he doesn't get the Heisman. Cam Moore's obviously had an incredible season, but I mean, Genty is literally an entire offense. He's got more rushing yards than 106 teams do.
That's
so
just
yeah.
wild.
I mean, if he gets close, I think it's got to go to him because I mean, he's kind of on pace to do it. Like if he picks it up a little bit, I mean, he can do it. I mean, the guy's averaging a first down a carry.
I will say that like he's also been out of the second half for a lot of these games because of the fact that
They've been up
Boise,
so much.
yeah, Boise State has been a really good team this season. I think they're number 17 in the AP poll right now. So he's led that offense and that team in general to
He
such
is
a
Boise State.
Yeah,
And, like
100%.
props to
He
him.
is.
He could have totally gone somewhere else. He could have gone to Ohio State, taken over that backfield, and then guaranteed himself maybe even like a top 10 pick in the NFL
That would
draft.
have been an incredible
But-
for Ohio State with him and what was it, Traylon Henderson and
Yeah,
Judkins.
Judkins probably wouldn't have went there, but
Probably
I
not,
mean,
no.
he just what he's doing is pretty great, and we do have to note that a running back has not won the Heisman since Derrick Henry.
And that was an incredible season
It
too
was.
from Derrick Henry.
It was.
I will say that Cam Ward is also 5-1 passing touchdowns to interception ratio and
Yes.
leads the league or leads the NCAA in QBR. So a couple of stats to like the nod to if you were to give the nod to Cam Ward. I think it's just a very close race right now. That have to see how the rest of the season pans out.
Genty's almost averaging 3 touchdowns a game though, and he's averaging over 200 yards a game. So if he
both,
keeps it up, then yeah.
both very valid arguments. And the next guy in Tyler's list, I think, also deserves to be in that argument. That's why he's ranked number 3. Tyler, tell us a little bit about him.
Next two guys on my list I want to talk about. Travis Hunter is third place, I'd say right now. And honestly, I would understand if people have him over Ashton Genty as of right now, right? We've seen a receiver win the Heisman more recently than a running back, and he's been playing both sides of the ball and outstanding. He has 51 catches, 600 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 3 turnovers this year, along to go with 3 passes defended. His odds sitting at plus 2,800, it was very surprising to me. That's, I believe, 7th best according to DraftKings. When Travis Hunter, he has been having a great season. He started the year right, 3 straight 100-yard receiving yard games, or actually I think 4, including the UCF game. So he's just been on a tear lately. And then my 4th place ballot goes to a very familiar face to us UCF fans, Dylan Gabriel. Fun fact about Dylan Gabriel, he transferred out of both of my favorite college football teams. I don't think there's another person that has ever happened to, but Dylan Gabriel and Oregon have been on a tear in their first year in the Big Ten, obviously. He has over 2,000 passing yards. He probably has the best win out of everyone here. They beat Boise State, Ashton Genty's team, and they also beat number 2 Ohio State. So they have the best win here out of all these guys. And Dylan Gabriel, he's been quietly having a very efficient season for the Ducks. 15 passing touchdowns, only to 4 interceptions, and his odds sitting at plus 400. I think, though, I want to see more from Dylan before I start putting him over guys like Hunter and Genty over in terms of what he's been doing this entire season. But Oregon, right, they're the number 1 team in the country, so I got to give him some respect for that.
100%. Dylan Gabriel, yeah, like you mentioned, UCF, then Oklahoma. I don't know if he's having as good a season as some of his seasons at Oklahoma. I will say that. Maybe a hot take. His other seasons were so great, and he's a 6th-year senior, 6th-year starter. So you kind of expect some of these numbers, and you expect him to be in that Heisman race. Yeah.
Yeah, I think coming into the season, he was definitely one of the Heisman leaders. Like preseason odds, I think he was sitting at number 3, which is kind of right around where he's at right now. But I think the fact that he's on such a good team and they brought back so many returning players from last season, and they had such a good season last season, they almost made the playoff if they would have beat Washington in that Pac-12 championship. So Dylan Gabriel is definitely like one of the better players on this list. But I think that Travis Hunter is rightfully like at 7th in the odds right now, just because of the fact that he plays both sides of the ball, but he is injured currently. It might not be on the injury report as he played last game, but
He rested in the second half, his shoulder injury. So
yeah,
didn't
he also
finish the game.
rested in the second half last game as well, which obviously, as somebody who plays both ways, both sides of the ball, it's kind of hard to stay in for every single snap. But the fact that he has missed 2 second halves is going to be a little bit detrimental to him because he doesn't have the stats right now to really compete with a Cam Ward or an Ashton Genty. So I just don't see. I see why the odds makers have him at plus 2,600 right now because I just don't see him as a possibility winning it because I don't know. Like he had 12 yards last game because of the fact that he had to sit out the second half and he's not playing as many defensive snaps either.
For sure. Do you want to defend Travis Hunter a little bit? I don't know about you, but Andrew, Greg, and I did get to see him firsthand. We were on the sidelines when Colorado came to Orlando.
Yep.
That was not fun to watch. We got to see
wasn't.
how dominant he is on both sides.
Yeah,
So,
I was at that game, and
Yep.
I must have been the only person in the UCF student section with the Colorado contingency sitting around them. I had a
Okay.
buddy fly in from Colorado
Oh,
and
boy.
a bunch of other people. So yeah, it was a little bit of a mess in the student section. But yeah, in all honesty, Travis Hunter's the best player in college football. He's just been a little limited, but I mean, he's the best player in college football in my opinion.
That's
now he might not be having the best season, but he's the most talented guy. So yeah, I think having him 3, I think he definitely gets a trip to New York, and it's perfectly justified. And if he does win it, I'm not going to be mad.
Okay, that's a good way to put it. Tyler, who is in 5th place for you?
Now it is well known that I'm a bit of a Clemson hater. Back when I was hosting Nighttime, I famously rip into Dabo a lot. But I do want to give a shout out to Cade Klubnik and the Clemson Tigers. Obviously, the Week 1 loss to Georgia was embarrassing, and everyone kind of writ off Clemson right after that. But Cade and them, they've really bounced back, right? 1,800 passing yards, 20 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions. He is 4th in the nation in QBR with an 87.8, and they've gone on a 6-game winning streak since they lost their season opener to Georgia. They're undefeated in the ACC. Now, the big thing, the asterisk with them, right, is they haven't really played anybody since Georgia. They just beat Virginia. They've beaten Wake Forest, like no ranked teams. Like the best thing on their resume is that they lost to Georgia, who just beat number 1 Texas. So it's like you can't really give Cade too much because he's not doing enough statistically for me to move him up higher on this list, and he's not like Dylan where he has a marquee win.
Absolutely. Really quickly, because we do have to go. Why Cade Klubnik over Jalen Milroe? Did Milroe's recent performances, some of these losses, did that take him out, do you think?
Yeah, the Tennessee loss especially, and really he's been playing poorly ever since the loss to Vanderbilt, right? Even the South Carolina game, Bama was behind for a good portion of that game. It's just not the same Jalen Milroe we saw last year.
That's fair. Granted he does have 11 rushing touchdowns, but passing-wise, he is only 13 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. So I think that's a little bit backed up. So that is going to be it for our Heisman discussion. Thank you very much, Augie. Thank you, Tyler, doing your work over there. And I guess thank you, Andrew. That was pretty good. After this, we will be talking about UFC, so don't go anywhere.
The NFL season opener, Baltimore Ravens at the Kansas City Chiefs, September 5th, Thursday Night Football. I am taking the Baltimore Ravens at plus 130 to win this. Kansas City, when they were the season opener last year, they lost that game. Historically, they're not that great in this position.
I have Chuba Hubbard as one of my drops. Unfortunately, he's in an offense where he just won't be getting any carries because of how bad the offense is. He's one of the people I'd drop as one of the fastest drops in fantasy football.
This league has not been what I thought it would be, okay? I thought I would be undefeated. I walked away from that draft. I got Tyreek Hill at number 6, and I thought I won. And welcome back, Tyler. Welcome to the desk. For this segment, we are doing UFC 308, joined by Jan Perez. How are you doing, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing great. Very excited to talk UFC. This is going to be a very exciting card.
Absolutely. So we're not going to spend too much time. Just tell us a little bit about some of these fighters. It is Ilya Topuria versus Max Holloway. Ilya is 15-0 on the season so far, and Max is 26-7. Now, Ilya is favored in this fight, but tell us a little bit of background.
Ilya is, favored of course, because he's undefeated, and especially after his last bout against Volkanov, where he knocked him out in the second round with a crazy hook. I definitely do see why Ilya is the one that's favored. He's just all around great at everything, and he's gone back to his roots, especially for this fight. If you look at his training camps, he's gone back to grappling. He's gone back to just doing stuff that he did when he started, and he looks very confident. Again, undefeated. His last title bout was excellent, to say the least, so I understand why he's a favorite, but my pick is going to be Max Holloway. Max Holloway is a stamina demon. He will fight the entire 5 rounds, will not get gassed. The only real issue with Max Holloway is that he has trouble with shorter fighters. And Ilya being 5'7", Max Holloway does have that reach advantage, but when it comes to stuff like aiming at body shots and trying to sneak in, Ilya's so good at striking technically. That same thing that happened with Volk. Volk got too close, opened his chin, knocked out. And that's what might happen with Max Holloway, but if I were to have to say, especially after his performance for the BMF belt in his last bout, I'm going for Max Holloway. That's my guy. I think in the 5 rounds, he will be able to piece Ilya enough to win the bout. So I'll go for the underdog in this one.
Absolutely. And just to clarify some of those betting odds for everyone, Topuria is favored at -230, and then Holloway is sitting at +190. So, and then just for someone trying to get into UFC, I would think, like you mentioned, Topuria's height, it's listed at 5'6". Holloway is 5'9". I would think that reach would be, pretty significant. Exactly. That's the word I was looking for. So I wonder why he's the underdog. Do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, so Max Holloway is like the underdog right now, but I think it's because of the fact that he wasn't really in this position maybe a couple fights ago. I think that the UFC is kind of trying to advertise the fact that they still have knockout artists, because the last couple main events have been struggling for the fact that they've just gone long and haven't been very exciting, and there's been a lot of people that have been complaining about the last couple main events. So Max Holloway is a guy who he had a very exciting fight, and then at the end of it, he kind of called out Justin Gaethje to step into the middle of the ring and then knocked him out, which was one of the most exciting knockouts, at least I've ever seen in the UFC. So I think that giving him a chance at the belt again is obviously one of the biggest opportunities that he'll get. But I don't think that he'll be able to pull it off, unfortunately, Jan, just because of the fact that Ilya is undefeated, and he just took out Volk, which is one of the undisputed best all time. Volkanovski's consistently been one of the better fighters in the UFC since I can remember. So and then Ilya beat him. So, and which Max Holloway also lost to Volkanovski a couple fights ago. So I think that Ilya's just the better all-around fighter, and obviously he's undefeated. So that says something, if anything.
Your math is certainly mathing.
Yeah.
So you're taking Ilya. Who are you taking, Tyler, and why?
I'm agreeing with Jan. I really like Max Holloway going into this fight.
I'll agree with Andrew.
I always love a knockout specialist, right? And he's got 12 wins by knockouts in his career, 9 first-round wins for Holloway. I think he's going to be attacking Topuria early. He just trying to get out of this fight as quickly as he can. I know, like Jan said, he can hang around if this fight does go long, right? But I think to maximize his chances, the earlier this fight ends, the better for him.
Okay. Absolutely. Jan, any rebuttal arguments on some of the things we've said, or are you just going to rock with Holloway?
I understand the beating Volk, but if you watch the fight, Volk usually walks his opponents down. He was just at a disadvantage this time, being on his back foot, waiting to try to pop at him. And he looked kind of slow, especially because he came back after 3 months getting knocked out. Maybe Volk came a little too early, and Topuria took advantage of that. But I still wouldn't say that it's going to be so left-sided. Yeah, he has Ilya has a bigger favorite to win, but I actually think that the longer the fight goes, the better it'll be for Max. Ilya's going to get tired. Yes, his technique is flawless, and he will be able to stop any type of takedown that Max would try. But as the fight goes on, Max seems like he gets better. He hits his punches, don't go soft. And Ilya has been said to have pillow hands. He has pillows for hands. The only reason he knocked out Volk is because he came in with a clean hook. But I don't think he's going to be able to piece Max. Max is not going down. I haven't seen him get knocked out, and I don't really think I'll see it.
So obviously, Jan, that is a really exciting fight, but we have this is a co-main event, and we have Robert Whittaker taking on Chimaev in the co-main event. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Oh, yeah. I know that Whitaker is just perfect, and he's always really good at fighting. But Shamaev is going to do really good in this next bout. He hasn't fought in over a year, which is kind of sad to see. He always just has problem with, making cuts and just staying healthy to be able to make the cuts and make the fights. But I feel like this time he's going to come in and he's going to stun. He always has first-round knockouts. He comes in very aggressively. And that's the only thing that I'll give, away is that he comes in too aggressive. He gets himself tired. I don't think he could go 5 rounds, 3 rounds. If he doesn't get a first-round knockout, I think as the fight goes on, he'll slowly and progressively start to look worse. But for that match, I would have to take the favorite with Whitaker. And let's see how the bout goes.
Okay. Well, that should be a little bit exciting, but our main event will definitely be exciting. Thank you very much for helping us out with that segment. That is going to be it, though. We're 2-2. We're taking Topuria. You guys are taking Holloway. But we will check in next week with you. After this commercial is our Surefire Pick of the Week, so don't go anywhere.
Hello, Hitting the Field family. My name is Andrew Montana, host of Season 19 of The Main Show. And on behalf of HTF, we hope you're enjoying today's content. But I'm here to tell you about everything else we have to offer here at the network. Mondays at noon, HTF Bets goes live with 3 of the best on-air faces we have in the program. Andrew Gregg's personality, Tyler Brownrick's sports expertise, and Nick Cohen's versatility make the show a fan favorite, but also a warm light to guide you through the harsh world that is the sports betting industry. On Tuesdays, Frankie Noble hosts a brand new show called Girls Got Game, blending women in sports, the biggest sports news stories, and creative segments that make for a fun and engaging show. Next up, we've got The Combine, an easygoing, conversational, and podcast-style show dropping on Wednesdays with Ty Patton as your host. No changes there. But a big change for The Combine is the set. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to The Combine from our brand new podcast studio. We've got the lights, we've got the cameras, all for Ty Patton to bring the action, and we hope you're just as excited as we are for this amazing opportunity. Much great content from The Combine this semester, as always. Then tune in Thursdays at noon for our second live show, The Main Show, hosted by, well, yours truly. Here we'll cover any sport, any topic, any story, no matter how obscure, be it basketball, football, hockey, soccer, UFC, MMA, cycling, even baseball. But be sure to tune in throughout the semester for our special shows, including drafts, debates, and much, much more. Lastly, Nighttime is aired on Fridays, where Patrick Previty and Matthew Bracker talk about UCF and college sports. From in-depth looks at campus's top storylines to collegiate records being broken nationwide, let Nighttime be your primary college sports resource. And outside of our 5-show roster, be sure to tune into our other content, such as the Studio Days vlog run by Vlog King Nick Cohen, breaking news graphics on our Instagram page, and much more. As well, make sure you're subscribed to Hitting the Field Network on YouTube, as well as following us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. But as for me, I've been Andrew Montana. Thank you so much for watching, and back to your regularly scheduled programming.
And we're back for everyone's favorite segment, Surefire Pick of the Week.
Everyone's.
Absolutely everyone's. We'll go over the records a little bit. Tyler's sitting at 1-6. You have a win.
I do have that.
You do.
No one can take that from me.
No, absolutely. And Andrew is sitting at 0-7. But
Or 11-8-1, as some people like to call it.
That's
You don't get
an
anything
option.
Whichever one-
for participation.
whichever
in
one
betting
floats your boat.
world.
It's certainly an option, and I am sitting at 4-3. I do want to clarify something. So yes, I did win in back-to-back weeks now. I did win last week. That's why I'm wearing this jacket. But to clarify, I'm not necessarily proud of that win. My total parlay odds were so low.
Plus 175, I think it was, right?
I thought it might even be a
It
little
might have
lower.
been a little. I think
Yeah,
it
thought
was definitely the
150s.
lowest of the year.
Yeah, and so I'm going on record. I am not proud of that, but we still have to kind of as a win, right? You know,
Do we?
So we kind of do. So
Okay.
You won back-to-back twice now, 2 separate occasions.
I have.
That's
You
crazy to me.
understand
So-
what that means, though, right? From last segment, the Max Holloway pick is more dangerous than your Surefire Pick of the Week 2 weeks ago.
You know, that's an awful point.
Yeah.
But that does also, if we're going off patterns, although I feel good about my Surefire pick this week, it means I'm going to lose, 3 in a row now. So let's hope that's not the case. Just to go over some of those records, like I mentioned in my intro, that were broken, you, as our statistician, as our bets historian,
Yes.
you could fact check these, but I believe I am now the winningest bets host ever.
You are the winningest in a single season.
No, that was set last time.
Or yes, last time you're tied for the winningest
Okay,
ever.
tied.
You
Okay,
need one
so-
more.
So next week, 5-3, I'll have that. And we are also tied for most wins as a collective group, correct?
Yeah, maybe
Okay.
not everyone is pulling their
But
weight
that
in that.
doesn't matter.
But
It's a team effort. See,
I'm
guys?
fine riding on Nick's coattails for this.
That works. And you know
I'll
what?
take
It's
it.
our first semester doing this. We still got time, okay? It's only week, 8? Episode 8? So, yeah, just some housekeeping things out of the way. Tyler, what's your surefire pick this week?
All right. The NBA is back tomorrow night, the season opener, and I am betting on the Wolves at the Lakers in the Crypto.com arena. It still should be called the Staples Center, but I digress. I'm taking the Wolves money line at -118. The Wolves, obviously, coming off a Western Conference Finals loss. This team is looking to win it all this year. We have all the pieces, and I expect this team to come out strong against the Lakers team that really is just kind of, the Lakers are still just kind of LeBron and AD, just do your best, and then hopefully we win. And which is why, on my second leg, I'm taking Ant over 28.5 points at -120. Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, they cannot guard Ant, all right? Their guards just cannot hang with him. He's hitting 30 easy, no question about that. And then LeBron, over 7.5 rebounds at +114. This is bringing my total parlay to +625. Obviously, we can't talk about the Wolves without talking about how Cat is gone. So the lineup is going to be a bit shorter. I expect LeBron to be able to get maybe a few more offensive boards to help his rebound total. He averages about 7 for his career, so 8 doesn't seem out of the question for LeBron to get against a Timberwolves team that's probably going to be going with a shorter lineup than what they've been doing in past years.
Okay. I like that you have a plus in there. I like that your odds are pretty high, and so it'll just be that much more sweet if it hits.
Yeah.
So,
You know,
good job.
unlike some people.
Right. So, speaking of some people, we have Andrew. Defend yourself a little bit and get into your pick.
Yeah, so unfortunately, my record is 0-7. After last week, I told everyone that I would for sure hit, and I don't know that that is exactly what happened. But in my defense, the Utah Hockey Club had their first shutout of the season, and their first game where they didn't score at least 4 goals in a game, which was very unfortunate because of the fact that I did have the total over at 6 in that game. And the New Jersey Devils came through and scored 3 goals. They also scored first, so I went 2-1 last week, and I brought my record up to 11-9-1.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah, it's definitely, it would have been making money if you weren't combining these, but if you are, I feel a little bit bad for you.
It's the name of the game.
It is the name of the game. So this week I have the Ravens 3-way money line, which means that they'd have to win in regulation. It's a little bit of it throws people off a little bit because a lot of people don't bet 3-way money lines on the off chance that the game does go to overtime, but it does take a couple cents off the dollar in terms of betting. So instead of -200, it's sitting at -190. And then I have the over total points at 50, and then I also have Baker Mayfield sitting at over 255.5 passing yards. I think that this game will be a little bit lopsided in favor of the Ravens. I think that they're genuinely just the better team, and if the Bucs are going to be competitive, they're going to have to be playing from behind, which means that Baker Mayfield will be having to throw the ball. Typically, teams don't run the ball when they're down because it wastes clock. So I think that Baker Mayfield will have a strong chance of getting over 255.5 passing yards if, in fact, that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are trailing. And even if they're not, if it is a close game and they're going back and forth, I think that it'll take a lot out of Baker Mayfield to be able to throw the ball coming off of Rachaad White, just coming off of an injury, and Bucky Irving is a solid back, but I think that they'll lean more towards Baker Mayfield and that offense. Chris Godwin has been a standout receiver this season, so I think that he'll be able to hit that if the game is close either way. So I have, to recap, I have the over total 50 points at 50. I have the Ravens through a money line, and I also have Baker Mayfield sitting at 255.5 passing yards, the over.
Okay. I kind of want to know Tyler's thoughts a little bit on this, but I'll say that although I'm becoming kind of a Baker fan a little bit, okay, the culture he's brought to Tampa, although I'm not a Tampa fan, is pretty good. But 255 is kind of high.
It definitely is a high number, and we're seeing less passing offenses this year. I think that we had historically low numbers within the first couple weeks of the season. It's ramped up a little bit, but I think that if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing from behind, the Baker Mayfield will definitely have to go over that number.
It's an if. The Bucs have looked good.
I also will say that I am about to tie the record for most losses in a row, and I think the issue is the mustache. So if I lose this week, the mustache will be gone next week. I also just think it's time for a shave, so either way.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I wasn't going to be the one to remind you, but
Okay.
Baker has only gone over this 3 times this season. But as always, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Do you agree that number's a little high, or do you not
I'm more
agree?
concerned of over 50 points because
Ooh.
I feel like, the Ravens, they're a team that they run the ball very well, so possessions are going to be coming at a premium for the Buccaneers. So obviously they're going to be throwing a lot, right? They want to score, but I just question how many possessions each team will have. Will it be enough? Because the Ravens love to chew up time of possession, and so this could be a situation where they cut just short. There's just not enough possessions.
Do they run the ball really well? I feel like Derrick Henry will have a 50-yard run every game, and then that'll inflate his stats a little bit. But obviously Lamar Jackson is one of the best running quarterback in the NFL. So obviously they are a good running team. But there's been plenty of possessions in their last couple of games. The last game, 2 games ago, they scored 41 and beat the Bengals 41-38. In their last game, they beat the Commanders 30-23, which are both over 50 points. And obviously the Bills game 3 games ago, they won 35-10, which is 45, but still the Bills just weren't very competitive in that game. They only scored 10 points. So if the Buccaneers can just keep it close, I think that they'll be able to have a pretty high-scoring game.
100%. So I'm going to jump into my parlay, and I just want to preface this by saying, in my personal fantasy league, I am in a close match with my longtime rival, John Grawl. If you're watching this, you are hopefully going down. I need Chris Godwin from that game to go off, and I also need Kyler Murray from my game to go off. I'm down by 30 points, and he also has Zay Flowers. All besides the point. So for my pick, I'm doing the Chargers at the Cardinals tonight at 9 p.m. I'm going to take the Chargers to cover a 1.5 point spread. That's sitting at minus 120. And then Justin Herbert to go over 224.5 passing plus rush yards. That's sitting at plus 120. And then finish that off with J.K. Dobbins to go over 79.5. Basically, I need him to get 80 rushing yards at least, which I think is feeling good. That's sitting at minus 110. Now, you guys may be wondering, why would I take Herbert over on all those yards? Okay, that is an alternate line to get a plus in there and, try and go a little bit more out on a limb from last week. When Justin Herbert only has 815 passing yards on the entire season, I know that doesn't add up, but the Cardinals don't have a great defense. And I hate that all these picks are favoring the Chargers. I like the Cardinals a lot, but Cardinals don't have a good defense. I feel like Justin Herbert could very easily scramble for about 20 yards. Just need him to throw for about 200.
Which he's only done, I believe, once this year.
He
so far?
has only done that once.
So it's been
Obviously coming off injury, but it's definitely been a disappointing season for Justin Herbert
100%.
so far.
And it's also the new system that
but it's never his
brought
fault.
in.
It's never his fault.
Never, ever.
It's never Herbert's fault.
It's a running offense now. We're seeing J.K. Dobbins have a career resurgence because of that. So I think that leg is safe. Herbert as the only plus leg, that will be the big question mark that I will be watching for tonight. And I'll hope to get 5 wins on the season. So with that being said, that is it for the show. Next week, we will be doing a Halloween episode, so we'll be wearing some costumes, and hopefully we'll all have an extra win to our name. Just want to say thank you, Beyonce, and we'll see you next week.